Hello, and welcome to a mini workshop on the spirits of the land. I'm Kara Daniels from Deep Root Connections. I'm an interspecies communicator for animals, nature, and spirit. And today I will be sharing some information regarding the spirits of the land. We will be exploring who and what they are in the physical plane, as well as who and what they are energetically, why you might want to work with them, where you can find them, and what to expect when working in relationship. So let's talk about who and what they are on the physical plane on a small scale, and then we'll kind of expand to a larger scale. So absolutely everything that is natural or made of natural elements has its own energy and its own spirit. All animals, plants, rocks, trees, each have their own individual spirit that we can connect and communicate with. So each one will hold its own information, its own knowledge, its own personality, which is the best part, is kind of getting to know their own personalities. So if you take a moment, now or later, when it kind of pops into your mind, find something natural, like a flower in your garden, or in the crack on the wall, in the crack of the sidewalk, or find a special rock if you're out on the trail or by a river. Just find something that draws in your attention. And that will be its own individual. It will have its own unique imprint, its own energy, its own memories, its own life experience, and we can tap into that and connect to it. So a bird, for example, will have its own story to share. It'll have its own insight, its own opinions and suggestions. And if you were to connect with a bird, for example, it would have a totally different story or insight than a snail. A snail would definitely have a different point of view than a bird. And so what's really cool with working with these physical beings is the species themselves or beings in an allocated location will hold knowledge of that specific spot or place. So a flower, for example, is rooted in its own unique space. It's connected to the soil, the water, the air, the wildlife, the birds, the insects, all of it. It's connected to all of it. And so if you're wanting to work with a plant, then you can ask if it needs anything to flourish or be healthier. You can ask about the quality of the water, the quality of the soil it's in, how it feels about its placement in your garden or spot or the landscape that it's in. Is it happy? Does it need something? You can absolutely work with these individuals to know how they're doing, and then to expand, if it's in your garden, how is the health of the garden? You can also ask it questions to be more energetically aligned. So if there's any residing energetic imprints on the land, or if it can help you energetically, that is something that you can absolutely ask. And so just kind of for another example, if you're working with birds, a lot of them are migratory. And so when they migrate south or north, or kind of whatever season you're in, you can connect with them and say, hey, how's it going? What do you need? Do you have everything you need? Or what is your experience? Or what opinions do you have? What do you need? And oftentimes what you'll find is that they're going to say, everything is good, or, we're lacking maybe X, Y, and Z. Oftentimes it's native plants for their food, or materials for their nesting, kind of just depending on what stage of life they're in. And so working with these animals can really help us zero in on what's lacking in our ecosystems, which is a really cool thing to do. And working in relationship with them is just knowing that when you ask their opinions, you have the knowledge base to modify and remedy and help. And so it's a really cool thing that we can do here when in relationship with these beings. So that is on a really small scale, a very individual, a very personalized scale. And so I kind of want to blow this up just a little bit. I want you to think about the longevity of each individual being or element that you can see and or possibly work with. So a flower, generally speaking, has a very short lifespan, whether that be for one season or even a span of time over a few seasons. when working with nature, that is a really short time frame. It's kind of just a blink of an eye. So if you're thinking, you're wanting a little bit more ancient knowledge versus, just the quality of the soil, I want you to think about what in your local landscape, in your immediate vicinity, or, your state as a whole, even just what would hold the ancient knowledge, what spans eons and eons of time within its own existence. And so that being said, when I think about it, in my own specific ecosystem, I think of ancient trees, old growth forests, mountains, glaciers, things like that. And again, this is in my own ecosystem. So this is something that you would have to kind of reflect upon. Do you have mountains? Do you have canyons? Do you have a lot of just like boulders? Rocks have immense knowledge. They're ancient. And so just think about, the lifespan. Trees can live hundreds of years. And so they will also hold the knowledge of 100 years. And so depending on your goals and what you're kind of looking to do will depend greatly on, what kind of physical being you want to connect with. So let's see what else. Yeah, so the beings that are ancient, the ones that have spanned immense time, they hold knowledge of the past, they hold knowledge of the present, they have information that has been long forgotten by people, which has been it opens your eyes a little bit, when you can step into the place of a tree and see how an ecosystem has changed over a span of 100 years, why it's changed, and how people have once connected with them and then didn't, and how relationships have changed. It's really just interesting and eye-opening to kind of go there. So depending on your goals and what you're wanting to do and learn will kind of depend on who and what you want to connect with on a physical plane. So just to recap, each individual has its own information. The older trees will hold more knowledge. And so the larger and slower beings in creation kind of sense will have and hold knowledge of the ancients. If you're wanting to work more locally and in your own specific space, maybe working with an individual plant is the way to go. So just something to think about and be aware of as you kind of wander through this and contemplate what and how and where you might want to work. But for now, I'll leave the physical realm and let's switch gears to the energetic realms, because we all are layered one on top of another. And so the physical spirits of the land hold the ancient knowledge, the caretakers of the land. Stand by just a sec. Okay, moving on to those in energetic form. So we live in a physical kind of state of being. So what we see, what we touch, what we feel is our general reality. But what we don't see are the energetic layers or realms that live directly upon us. Only they are at a different vibration or frequency. So most people can actually see them or feel them on a regular basis. So I like to think of our planet as a layered cake. So we have underneath the soil is one layer, then we have kind of on top of this soil is another layer, and then we have multiple layers up on top of that we actually can't see. They all work at their own vibration. And what's really cool about that is those are essentially different realms. So each layer is a different realm, a different frequency, a different vibration. And this is where you're going to find the spirits of indigenous people who used to live on the land and were intimately connected to it, often come through and represent themselves as the caretaker of a place, and they hold immense knowledge. So if you're wanting to learn foraging or things like that, they're really good to connect with and learn from. This is also where you're going to find fairies and gnomes and elves and dragons and all of the kind of mystical beings that people do or do not kind of believe in. But these beings have the capacity to dip and dabble between realms. And they really like to work, for example, especially the fairies, they like to come in and work with our plants. They love working with the gardens. And so they can work with our plants energetically and physically. And so if we're a gardener and we're thinking, oh, I need an extra hand in my garden, take it up a notch, I'm calling the fairies. They absolutely love to work with us in that capacity. Gnomes, on the other hand, are earth dwellers. They live in the soils. They help release traumas and toxicities held in the land, and they can help you understand, what toxins are in your soil, what traumas are there, maybe some things that happened historically have maybe some traumatic events occurred there, and the energy is still imprinted in the land, and they're working to release it. And so once that's released, our land will uplift and up-level and heal. And so those are just kind of two examples of beings that are working in the land, and some that we can call upon and get to know, just as a quick example. And what's really cool about these mystical beings is that, they do work on the energetic level, which is something a lot of people are just learning, or they don't really know how to do. And so they can teach us how to do it. But then these beings can use our physical bodies to help them. So this is kind of where we enter into relationships. So because they're energetic, they don't have hands. And so, and I'm just going to throw an example out here to give you a frame of, kind of a reference is I have gnomes that live under my hawthorn tree, and they ask me constantly to pull these weeds, leave these plants, do this, do that. And so it's more of a, they're telling me what to do to help this garden. But at the same time, my intention there is to heal this piece of land and bring it back to a natural state of being. And so they're doing their dirty work underneath the ground, releasing all of the traumas and a lot of the toxicities that I'm not aware of, while simultaneously I'm working with them to work with the soil composition and what plants need this, what plants need that. And so they're helping me work in kind of releasing kind of a lot of dirtiness in my dirt, and kind of up-leveling it this way. And so I'm working in relationship with them, and it's made a huge impact on my garden just within a year. And the thing to remember is that relationship is give and take. I work with them, they work with me, and together we are working towards a common goal. And that's kind of the catch here, is that working towards a common goal, oftentimes they want to heal the land, heal ourselves, but something to understand when working with these beings, even the trees or even some of the wildlife, just all beings, physical or energetic, they might not be readily willing to go there with us. And it's been eons since people have communicated with the spirits of the land and worked in collaboration with them. So oftentimes they are wary, they're hesitant, they don't know if we're authentic, they question it. And so oftentimes we have to kind of prove ourselves. We have to show them that we're dedicated. We have to show them that we are true and authentic. And it's definitely a relationship that will need to be built over time, depending on who you're working with and what your common goals are, what your goals are. So if you have a special place that you like to go, a natural space, say if you like to go on a hike in an area, a good way to begin to open communion and connection with the spirits of the land is to just pick up trash, even if it's not yours. Acknowledge that they're there, say hello in your mind or out loud, and just be really intentional with that. And regular visits and regular communications with them, just putting your intention out there. If you're working with, I highly recommend just starting somewhere that you're familiar with, because they know who you are. They've seen you, they know you. And I want to give you an example here. When you enter into a space that you are brand new to with the intention of connecting to the land, they might not be interested. And And it can be a little awkward. So I went to an old growth forest. It's across state lines, so it's not somewhere I can visit regularly. And I thought, I want to meet the spirits of the land right here. It's a really cool space. And so I put my intention out there. I took my shoes off. I really wanted to just really immerse myself in this space. And it had large growth cedars and sword ferns. And from the moment I entered in on the trail, I felt as though like I was being watched. I felt almost as if the whole forest was whispering about me, but I couldn't hear them and understand what they were saying. And so there was a lot of suspicion there. There was a lot of kind of side-eyeing me, I guess is a good way to kind of say that's what it felt like, is they were all just watching me and whispering about me. And it's just like, I'm here, I'm authentic, but I'm not here all the time. I don't know this place intimately. And so they weren't really willing to go there. And I think if I were to go back there multiple times, I would build the relationship, I would build the trust, but I know there wasn't time for that. And so that's just one of those things. Make sure when you're first starting out to just go somewhere that you can visit regularly and really get to know. It's a good way to start instead of feeling awkward in a forest that should feel beautiful. And so absolutely take their lead also. Again, they're not always going to want to communicate right away. So just building the trust, just letting them know that you mean business, that you're serious, that you want to work with them. Repetition and the more often, and if you try to communicate with them often, they're going to be more willing to be like, okay, let's do this. So just something to think about. And when you're wanting to connect, there's kind of two ways that you can do it. If you are familiar with meditating, that's a really good way to go. Just set your intention. Say, I want to meet the spirits of the land. Enter into a meditation, kind of see what happens or see who steps forward. Or one of my favorite ways is going on an intuitive walk, which is a little bit more proactive. You can, if you have your own property, large or small, you have a local park or natural area that you want to be in, just set your intention and kind of let your intuition lead the way. And just kind of see what happens. Don't have a set goal or a set destination. Just let them speak to you and through you and pull you in what direction that you think you should go. So if you're following an inkling, say, oh, I thought I was going to go left today, but all of a sudden I feel like I should go right. Go right. And then kind of just pay attention, go really slow, be very mindful with where you are and what you're thinking and feeling. And you might be drawn to a specific rock to sit on and then do it. Or you might be pulled to a specific tree, in which case always just say hello and maybe sit under. And don't force yourself upon anything, but just be aware of what draws your attention and what your body and mind are being called to do. Oftentimes I get pulled in directions and it feels like a magnet, like something's just kind of pulling me one way or the other. And I don't resist it because I just know that that's somebody telling me to go somewhere. And so taking yourself on an intuitive walk is a really good way to tap into, obviously, your intuition, feeling all of the things within your body and just kind of letting things unfold naturally. And you'll be surprised at what you find or see or hear or feel, or what experiences you might have just by doing that. So that is a really good way to begin the process of opening the gateways of communication and meeting the spirits of the land physically and spiritually. So that being said, I want to talk a little bit about intention. What is your intention? So before you meditate or before you go into an intuitive walk, what is your intention? Do you want to just know who they are? Do you want to heal the land? You want to work with a flower and its healing components? What is your goal? What's the point of you wanting to connect? Or are you just curious? You're just curious who is in your domain. That's absolutely a valid intention to have. So just make sure you kind of have that in the back of your mind before you meditate or you go for a walk. And once you set your intention, it's like turning on your little lamp light and say, hello, I'm here, I'm on, I'm ready. So your intention is set, all of a sudden your beacon will be on, and then the plants and spirits will come to you and they'll see you. Versus if you just go do your own thing without the intention and being mindful about it, they're just going to say, oh, you're just here again, or you're not interested in communicating or connecting. So setting your intention and then being really mindful with your actions and your presence and your just mindfulness in general will absolutely help. And so that being said, lots of stuff I just went over, and I kind of feel like I went really fast. So if there's questions that you have, comments, experiences, or information that you're wanting me to kind of dig deeper in, please let me know. You can put a comment down here in the comments section of this video. You can send me an email at deeprootconnections@gmail.com. Or there is a private Facebook group that you're more than welcome to join. The link will be just down below for you if you want to go there. It's private, it's a safe space. And I really truly believe that the more we talk about these things, the more that we share experiences, ask questions, the more power we have, the more power we give to the elements and the beings of the earth, and the greater potential we have to heal the land and heal ourselves and enter into a beautiful communion. So, just know that nothing is too weird when talking about any of this, and no questions are dumb and or out there. So I'm here for you, and so is this little community that we have growing. Otherwise, I guess that's it for my mini workshop. Happy connecting, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.